What is the best diet for Crohn's disease? I've healed myself 100% naturally of Crohn's disease and helped many other people do the same. I had a nasty perianal fistula. Have you ever blown your nose and you look at it to see what you got? And it's like a bloody, mucousy mess. That's what it looked like in my pants every day. But now I am symptom-free of Crohn's, and I want to share with you the best diet for treating Crohn's disease because I have tried every single diet for Crohn's disease. I'm going to show you which ones work and which ones don't work. Okay guys, so when I was first diagnosed with Crohn's disease, I believed for a very long time that diet would fix my Crohn's disease. I first started with the specific carbohydrate diet, which is a diet that restricts starches. That's an oversimplified explanation of it, but you severely limit your starches. And I did see some symptom relief, but after I started the specific carbohydrate diet, I became deathly allergic to carbohydrates. I could eat carbohydrates before and I'd be fine. After this diet, I ate carbohydrates and I would be sick for a day or two. Next, I went on something called the GAPS diet. Again, a very low carb diet. Same thing. I struggled eating any sort of carbs. I have seen people on this diet for 10 years. I'm not kidding you. I've seen people on the GAPS diet and the specific carbohydrate diet for 10 years, and they're still on a restrictive diet. So these aren't good options. I've seen people try the vegan diet. That is a very dangerous diet to go on because it is very deficient in protein. Your body is burning through. When your body has Crohn's disease, it needs a diet high in protein because your body is burning through protein. There's a dangerous program out there right now that uses the vegan diet, and these people come out of this program looking like skeletons. And it's because their body doesn't have enough protein to put meat on their bones, okay? So we're not going to do that. If you're vegetarian, I know I have a lot of Indian viewers, and you can heal on a vegetarian diet, but again, I strongly suggest that you get a lot of protein in your diet. There's the carnivore diet, very high in protein, and some people do experience symptom relief with this, but again, they become very allergic to starches when they do this, depending on the person, how they look at this. There's oxalate-free diet, a lectin-free diet, a low-sugar diet, a low-histamine diet. I mean, there's so many diets here. I mean, it's just crazy. So I'm going to skip all the BS, because my viewers know, I'm holding back my tongue right now. We have to look at this from a logical, hard logic perspective, okay? If we were eating whatever we wanted before and had zero gut issues, and then just one day we had gut issues, the diet didn't change. Something else changed. And if we're going on these diets. I've seen some people on some of these diets for 10 years and they still can't eat normal food. They have a very sensitive gut. If 10 years on a very strict diet doesn't fix it, diet ain't going to fix it. And to really hit the nail home on the coffin that diet does not fix Crohn's disease, I'm going to share with you the best diet to use while you're dealing with Crohn's disease and just the best diet in general. But there's something else causing your Crohn's disease. Diet is not causing Crohn's disease, because if diet caused Crohn's disease, there would be a lot more people today with Crohn's disease, because our diet, one could argue, isn't very healthy, has a lot of toxins on it, all that jazz. But why do your friends and family not have Crohn's disease and you guys pretty much eat the same food? You ate that food your whole life, and then one day you had digestive issues. It wasn't the food. Something else changed. I had one student who didn't eat anything. He didn't eat anything for a month. He just got nutrients pumped in through the IV, still had diarrhea, still had Crohn's symptoms. It's not diet, guys. I've seen people do the elemental diet. I've seen people do the juicing. I've seen people do organic. I've seen people do FODMAPs. I've seen people do paleo. I've seen people do autoimmune paleo. I've seen people do just fasting and nutrients into their veins. I've seen people do a low sugar diet. I've seen people do a dairy-free diet. I've seen people do a gluten-free diet. I've seen people do an ancestral diet. I've seen people do the Weston A. Price diet, which is my favorite diet. And so this is the diet I was hung up on a lot. Weston A. Price was a dentist in the 1930s, and he traveled the world in the 1930s because he heard that these primitives that were on a primitive diet, they were isolated from modern culture, that they were so healthy that they had 0 cavities. And he didn't believe it, so he went out and he went to go visit these guys, and sure enough, they had 0 cavities. When they were isolated from modern culture and on their ancestral nutrient-dense foods, they had 0 cavities. So, yes, it was absolutely amazing. He went to one place in the Swiss Alps, which I got to go visit. It would absolutely be beautiful. The people there were really nice. They were modernized now, of course. But, they had a diet. Their diets varied greatly depending on, the environment. The Swiss Alps, they had dairy, rye bread, and, meat. He went to the Polynesian islands and they were eating seafood. They all had a starch. A lot of people misinterpret this diet. And I've seen people on a Weston A. Price diet, their body is getting all the nutrients it needs to function properly, yet they are still diseased. So if they're getting all the nutrients that they need for their body to need to function correctly, why do they still have symptoms? It's not the diet that causes symptoms. And this is where German New Medicine comes in. I followed a Weston A. Price diet for maybe 5 years, and I was still very skinny. I was 155 pounds, and I could not put on, maybe I could get to 165 pounds if I was really, really, really disciplined. This is the best diet, guys. This is the best diet to follow to give your body the nutrients it needs to heal. But there's something prohibiting your healing. It is stress. For me, for Crohn's, most of you with Crohn's disease, and I define Crohn's disease the way Dr. Crohn's did, which is regional inflammation in the small intestine. Not today's stupid butthole definition of inflammation anywhere from mouth to butthole, and they don't even use that terminology correctly. It's supposed to mean regional, just random inflammation, random splotches of inflammation in the small intestine. And so Dr. Hammer, the founder of German New Medicine, he discovered that people who suffer from Crohn's disease, they have really bad indigestible anger. There's something in their life that they can't digest, and they're angry about it. This tissue is from the brainstem, originates from the brainstem, the oldest part of the brain, the lizard part of the brain. It does not know the difference between real food in your life and hard to digest things in your life. And so for me, in college, I started to get dumped by girlfriends and started having girlfriend issues, and I was very angry. I didn't understand what was going on, and I'm angry and frustrated that the relationship was falling apart. I was angry with authority figures. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. I had lots of indigestible anger in my life. And when I finally realized, all the way up until doing the Weston A. Price diet, I was angry at GI doctors. I'm still angry at GI doctors, by the way. Angry at this, angry at that. But when I started to get my anger under control, I went from 155 pounds, eating perfectly, to 185, 190, 200 pounds in about 2 to 3 months, eating whatever I wanted. Eating just like a normal person. Imagine what it would like not to have to do a diet for Crohn's disease. You just eat whatever you want and you'll get better. It's all about addressing the indigestible anger in your life. Crohn's is indigestible anger. How are you going to address your indigestible anger? When you experience this indigestible anger, your body builds extra gut cells to help you digest and absorb this hard to digest thing in your life. And when it gets resolved, your body has to get rid of these extra gut cells. They're high maintenance. And when you're, think about it, when we're removing flesh and tissue from our gut, it's going to hurt, it's going to bleed, and cause diarrhea. That's what's going on. What are you angry about? Step 1, what are you angry about? And then step 2, how are you going to resolve that anger? So guys, what is the best diet for Crohn's disease? It is the Weston A. Price diet. It is the most thorough nutritional study ever done. And it makes a lot of sense, common sense. He really stressed fat-soluble vitamins from animal sources. Our body needs these vitamins in order to do what it needs to do. But again, I've seen people follow this diet for years and not get any results. They address the indigestible anger in their life and they literally put on 20, 30 pounds in just a few, I've seen people do it in 2 months. I've seen people put on 20 pounds in a month. It is absolutely crazy how fast you get better when you address the root cause instead of trying to. I understand trying diet, it makes sense, but I'm telling you guys, it is not diet. And when you go on these diets, make sure you're not demonizing other foods, because when you start to view other foods as indigestible and you start to get emotional about that, it starts that cell proliferation and cell removal process. So all food is safe. Address that indigestible anger and you're going to get better. And if you want my 30-day plan to get better, go down in the description below and click it and you'll get my 30-day plan. And I'll give you some more advice on what foods that I recommend to eat while you're healing and how to find what is stressing you out and some tips and tricks you can do to address that anger and get better. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.